Hello, YouTube. I thought I'd go live with this because I didn't know how long recording time I had. Also, I'd like you to say hello to Willie. Here's Willie the kitty. He's out in the open. He's not hiding for a change. He's keeping me company here in the zero room. That stack you see below Willie is the stack of comics I have to file. I kind of have like an alphanumeric thing going on in these long boxes. This is the traditional way a comic collector stores comics. When they're semi-serious in collecting, which I kind of am. I just don't like do it as often as I should. That's all. So, but anyway, just came home from my 4 day trip yesterday morning. Caught up with a bunch of TV shows. Love that American Horror Story. I was expecting a little more of a knockdown drag out between the Son of Satan and the Coven Witches, but hey, it was a fun. It was probably the funnest season in recent memory. But I digress. Um, yeah, I just wanted to Stan Lee passing away. I actually wrote a I keep a writer's notebook, and I was I what I started writing an essay about what Stan Lee meant to me type thing. It's almost like a school essay that they would have you write in junior high or something like that. But I just wanted to share with you this little stack right here. This little stack was pretty much my holy scripture growing up. I have a lot of other holy scripture. Some of it's in there, like the Batman Superman from the 30s to the 70s paperback. I'm not going to point them out exactly. I've got two older copies that I've had with me since I was a kid, and newer copies just because I wanted them. But these books here were pretty much my holy scripture. You've got Origins of Marvel Comics by Stan Lee, Marvel's Greatest Superhero Battles, you can Doctor Strange, which this is what actually taught me to like Doctor Strange. Until I read got the basics behind the character, I thought it was kind of weird looking, and Doctor Strange fit right into that weird 70s. The 70s comics era had like this weird period going through it. It was even a tagline: weird sports tales and weird this and weird that. And Doctor Strange fit perfectly into that time period. But yeah, they just kind of give you like a rundown. They show you his origin, his first stories, and of course, that's the one drawn by Barry Windsor Smith, who also did Conan Once Upon a Time. That's the one that's excellent because it, in a way, it kind of presaged like the Sixth Sense by decades. By the doc gets hit by a bus, and his um, his life gets more and more nightmarish until he realizes that he put up a spell to stop the bus, and right after that, his life starts getting more and more nightmarish. Come to find out, he never woke up, type thing. Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, different phases in his career. There was a time when he woke up from being on ice, when the Avengers woke him up, type thing. Some World War II stories. Going up against the Red Skull with the awesome Jack Kirby art. He who holds the cosmic cube. I love that Marvel drama. And of course, that's the cosmic cube that you keep seeing in the movies all the time. And it was, of course, they give you some Jim Steranko stuff. Jim Steranko, pretty much helped to revitalize Captain America and Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, with his artwork at the time. Very 60s, very very. He pushed the groundwork forward. I know the light's pretty shitty in here. Very 60s, and of course, you had this period when Captain America was going to find himself because after the sting of the scorpion, I've spent a lifetime battling for liberty and for justice, but will there ever be an end to it? Of course, Stan Lee wrote that too. That was right after Watergate, and of course, that's when Captain America, the resilient hero of basically started to doubt his own country and doubt what it stood for and the whole thing, and he eventually ditched the Captain America costume, and went off on a motorcycle dressed as someone called Nomad, going to find himself and the meaning of America. Very, very easy rider. Then, of course, bring on the bad guys, which I had as a kid, and I just wore this one down too. You look at it, everyone pictured here: the Green Goblin, Red Skull, Doctor Doom, all of them. And of course, it's great stuff. And the great thing about these books is that Stan Lee would share with you how he came, how he came up with the storyline, how he, basically how he came up with it and how he developed the ideas and everything like that, which I thought was really, really cool. Hardcover of that. Son of Origins of Marvel Comics. I think that's the first one I had before I got the other one there. Hey, Willie. And of course, here's where I learned about Daredevil. Want to see what Daredevil looked like before he wore the red suit? Ye Christ. Let me show you what he looked like. Hi, Christ, look at that. That yellow and black whatever. I think it's yellow and maroon monstrosity. But of course, after this, gives you the basic origin. He's the son of battling Murdoch, and that isotope hits him in the eyes and builds up his senses. And then Frank Miller took the whole Zen martial arts approach to him. But before Frank Miller came Gene Colan's right there came his run. I mean, his photorealistic artwork, and I mean everything just flows. He has that was a particularly celebrated run of Daredevil. And you could just look at the action. Zock! Look at that movement. And kind of hope someone, excuse me, puts together a run of, pardon, Stan Lee, Gene Colan run of Daredevil once upon a time. Who else do we have in here? And of course, they give you the origin of the Silver Surfer, how he became and he's kind of a favorite of Stan Lee too. So he became what do you call it? The Herald of Galactus. He even had his own. That was his first solo series way back in the day. And of course, it was very pontificating, very, very artistic, and all that other stuff. And of course, The Superhero Woman by Stan Lee. And here you have this Ms. Marvel, who's now become Captain Marvel, the one you're going to be seeing in movies, I think, in the next year or so. But you've got Ant-Man, the first appearance of Ant-Man in there, and the Wasp. I think he goes. Yeah, she goes up against Hela. That's it. Hela, the goddess of death, right there. She's got that weird, awesome Jack Kirby headdress there. So yeah, I remember reading these when I was a kid, and just devouring them. And of course, Stan's huckster prose, friendly carnival huckster prose in there. He made you feel like you were part of the Marvel bullpen. My first sense of Stan Lee's presence was when I was reading. I remember reading comics in the 70s. I didn't know who Stan Lee was. I just know who the characters were. And he had this yellow box in the Marvel checklist page. And of course, it's like he was Stan's soapbox. He would just wax philosophical about whatever attitude he had. Oh, hello, Lord Bennett. He would just wax philosophical about whatever was on his mind. And that's all. And then, of course, I fell out of that until I, a couple years later, moved to the cruddy area of Manchester's West Side, and I started finding these books. I either bought some or borrowed some from the library. And also, they're like these small digest-sized books. And they ran like the entire, I want to say, 15-issue run of Spider-Man at first, across 3 volumes with the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko art, which I just devoured. I read the print off it. The Fantastic Four, same thing there, the first 6 issues. Introduced Doctor Doom, how the Fantastic Four came to be. I just remember being in again, on that cruddy neighborhood on the west side, just sitting there, waiting for my mom to finish her laundry and just devouring this story about how the Baxter building was pulled up into outer space. And wow, that's so cool. And of course, how the Thing went back in time to become Bluebeard, and I guess they used a time machine to go back and find out who Bluebeard was. Turns out to be a predestination paradox, as the Thing was always Bluebeard, always was destined to be Bluebeard, but his friends talked him back. I want to stay here. They understand me here. No, Ben, we love you. So they brought him back to the future, to coin a phrase. Yeah, so between those books and everything like that, I just read the print off them. It was a place to dive into, when I was just, let's face it, when outside reality was less than less than pleasant, shall we say. But I also followed a lot of other DC books too, but that's when I really got to know Stan Lee, his the ideas that came out of his head and everything else. It's like the Marvel universe and the DC universe. It's like this gigantic universe you can only get little tiny facets of. Like it's this giant jewel, this giant multifaceted jewel the size of Jupiter, and you can never ever read it all from beginning to end unless you're immortal. But you can only get these little glimpses of it, like through a story or through a run or something like that. And that's how I discovered Stan Lee and Marvel Comics is piecemeal. That's all. And as you can see, we've got this whole shrine devoted to, especially this bottom shelf area here, comics and everything else. A lot of them, graphic novels I get when they're on sale or something like that. But that's pretty much my shrine to my childhood right there. These especially. So I just want to share that with you, to my YouTube community. I don't want to bore you too long. It's going on 11 minutes now. But it's also another way for me to put off filing my comics because I'm a massive procrastinator. So thanks for helping me procrastinate again. Um, I'm probably going to be doing a pipe video later on. So now that I've said it, I've tossed my hat over the wall. So now I have to do it. So anyway, thanks. If you stuck with me for this long, thanks very much. And I'll be talking to you later. Onward with the filing and putting them in plastic bags and putting them in alphabetical order and blah, blah, blah. All the best, folks. Cheers.